Well, thank you all for coming. This event is a collaboration between the Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association, the Oregon Hemp Industries Association, and the Northwest Farmers Union, and we're all grateful for you guys coming out to this event tonight. So as this is an event by the Oregon HIA and Northwest Farmers Union and Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association, please keep in mind that this event is about cannabis hemp, industrial hemp. This is not about marijuana, so please be mindful of that when you are asking questions. But what is the true difference between marijuana and industrial hemp? Well, it is psychoactivity. Marijuana is psychoactive and intoxicating, while industrial hemp is non-intoxicating. And the intoxication in cannabis is determined by the ratio of THC, which is delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, and CBD, which is cannabidiol. A cannabis plant that has a ratio of greater than 1 for a cannabinoid ratio of THC to CBD, meaning that there is more psychoactive THC than non-psychoactive CBD in the plant, it is intoxicating and it is marijuana. Whereas if you have a plant that has a THC-CBD ratio of less than 1, meaning there is more CBD than THC within the plant, it is non-intoxicating and it is industrial hemp. Now in 1938, the Popular Mechanics magazine published an article called The New Billion-Dollar Crop. And they estimated at that time that industrial hemp could be produced into 25,000 different products. That was in 1938. 78 years later, with all of the research and technology capabilities in the United States, imagine how many products we can make out of industrial hemp today. Not only can we make thousands of products out of industrial hemp, but the environmental benefits this plant can provide for us are unparalleled. With phytoremediation properties, meaning the ability to clean up toxins in soil, this plant can do so many wonderful things for the issues that we are facing today. Over 30 industrialized nations currently cultivate industrial hemp for commercial purposes, but the United States does not, and it is illegal on the federal level for our farmers to commercially cultivate industrial hemp. Cannabis sativa has been around for over 10,000 years. It originates in Central and Southeast Asia, where it was used for fishnets and rope. It was used in Egypt by the Egyptians and potentially used with the building of the pyramids. It was used by the Greeks and the Romans. The very first Gutenberg Bible was printed on hemp paper. In 1492, when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, the sails and riggings on his ship were made from industrial hemp. And when the Pilgrims embarked on their journey of religious freedom to the New World, the Virginia Contract actually required them to cultivate industrial hemp when they got to the New World. And in 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia, the very first law in the United States required industrial farmers to cultivate industrial hemp. George Washington grew it, Thomas Jefferson grew it, the Declaration of Independence was drafted on industrial hemp paper, the first U.S. flag was made with industrial hemp fiber, and the USS Constitution, which never lost a battle, all the sails and riggings on that ship were also made from industrial hemp. When the pioneers embarked on their journey of manifest destiny, their Conestoga wagon covers were made from industrial hemp. And in fact, the word canvas comes from the word cannabis. In 1847, A. Lawrence Lovejoy, a representative from the state of Oregon, sponsored a memorial of the legislature of the territory of Oregon and presented that before the U.S. Senate. And in there, he solicited the assistance of the U.S. government to encourage hemp cultivation in Oregon for articles of export. In 1893, Rudolf Diesel developed the diesel engine, which he developed to run on vegetable oils, including industrial hemp oil. Industrial hemp was cultivated around the world and in the U.S. very broadly until the early 1900s when the yellow journalism campaigns began. And in 1913, California passed the Poison Act, which was the first law outlawing cannabis in the United States. However, in 1914, the US $10 bill, which is pictured right here, is an image of industrial hemp farmers cultivating industrial hemp. In 1916, USDA botanist Leicester Dewey published USDA Bulletin 404, which is titled Hemp Herds as Paper-Making Material, in which he reported that 1 acre of hemp can produce 4 times the yield of paper pulp. 4 times more yield than paper produced from trees in 1 acre. In 1917, R.A. Oakley, the agronomist in charge of seed distribution for the Bureau of Plant Industry, published an article titled The Seed Supply of the Nation, Hemp, in which the article focused on Kentucky supplying seeds for the nation rather than importing industrial hemp seeds to grow. However, the yellow journalism campaigns continued, and by 1931, 29 states had outlawed cannabis sativa. And then in 1937, the U.S. government passed the Marijuana Tax Act, which levied a $1 tax on all activities dealing with cannabis sativa. While the intention was to still allow legitimate medical and industrial applications, this effectively limited the expansion of production of industrial hemp in the United States. Then in 1936, the Reefer Madness movie came out, spreading more lies about cannabis. Then in 1938, Popular Mechanics published that article I was just telling you about, New Billion-Dollar Crop, outlining that industrial hemp can be produced into over 25,000 products. And they wrote, quote, "Hemp is the standard fiber of the world. It has great tensile strength and durability. It is used to produce more than 5,000 textile products, ranging from rope to fine laces, and the woody herds remaining after the fiber has been removed contain more than 77% cellulose, which can be used to produce more than 25,000 products, ranging from dynamite to cellophane." In 1941, Popular Mechanics published another article featuring Henry Ford and his personal car that grew from the soil, including hemp fibers. And this article reported that this vehicle had the impact strength 10 times greater than steel. Now, despite the fact that the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act was out and farmers were levied a tax to cultivate industrial hemp, World War II happened, and we had a desperate demand for fiber produced at home, and we could no longer import other hemp fibers from around the world. So the USDA launched a campaign called the Hemp for Victory campaign, and we're going to watch their propaganda video.
Long ago, when these ancient Grecian temples were new, hemp was already old in the service of mankind. For thousands of years even then, this plant had been grown for cordage and coarse cloth in China and elsewhere in the East. For centuries prior to about 1850, all of the ships that sailed the western seas were rigged with hempen rope and sails. For the sailor, no less than the hangman, hemp was indispensable. A 44-gun frigate, like our cherished old Ironsides, took over 60 tons of hemp for rigging, including an anchor cable 25 inches in circumference. The Conestoga wagons and prairie schooners of pioneer days were covered with hempen canvas. Indeed, the very word canvas comes from the Arabic word for hemp. In those days, hemp was an important crop in Kentucky and Missouri. Then came cheaper imported fibers for cordage, like jute, sisal, and manila hemp, and the culture of hemp in America declined. But now, with Philippine and East Indian sources of hemp in the hands of the Japanese, and shipment of jute from India curtailed, American hemp must meet the needs of our Army and Navy, as well as of our industries. In 1942, patriotic farmers, at the government's request, planted 36,000 acres of seed hemp, an increase of several thousand %. The goal for 1943 is 50,000 acres of seed hemp. In Kentucky, much of the seed hemp acreage is on river bottom land such as this, along the Kentucky River Gorge. Some of these fields are inaccessible except by boat. Thus, plans are afoot for a great expansion of the hemp industry as a part of the war program. This film is designed to tell farmers how to handle this ancient crop, now little known outside Kentucky and Wisconsin. This is hemp seed. Be careful how you use it. For to grow hemp legally, you must have a federal registration and tax stamp. This is provided for in your contract. Ask your AAA committee man or your county agent about it. Don't forget, hemp demands a rich, well-drained soil such as is found here in the bluegrass region of Kentucky or in central Wisconsin. It must be loose and rich in organic matter. Poor soils won't do. Soil that will grow good corn will usually grow hemp. Hemp is not hard on the soil. In Kentucky, it has been grown for several years on the same ground, though this practice is not recommended. A dense and shady crop, hemp tends to choke out weeds. Here's a Canada thistle that couldn't stand the competition. Dead as a dodo. Thus, hemp leaves the ground in good condition for the following crop. For fiber, hemp should be sown 5 pecks to the acre. With drill, the closer the rows, the better. These rows are spaced about 4 inches. This hemp has been broadcast. Either way, it should be sown thick enough to grow a slender stalk. Here's an ideal stand. The right height to be harvested easily, thick enough to grow slender stalks that are easy to cut and process. Stalks like these here on the left, they yield the most fiber and the best. Those on the right are too coarse and woody. For seed, hemp is planted in hills like corn, sometimes by hand. Hemp is a dioecious plant. The female flower is inconspicuous, but the male flower is easily spotted. In seed production, after the pollen has been shed, these male plants are cut out. These are the seeds on a female plant. Hemp for fiber is ready to harvest when the pollen is shedding and the leaves are falling. In Kentucky, hemp harvest comes in August. Here, the old standby has been the self-rake reaper, which has been used for a generation or more. Hemp grows so luxuriantly in Kentucky that harvesting is sometimes difficult, which may account for the popularity of the self-rake with its lateral stroke. A modified rice binder has been used to some extent. This machine works well in average hemp. Recently, the improved hemp harvester, used for many years in Wisconsin, has been introduced in Kentucky. This machine spreads the hemp in a continuous swath. It is a far cry from this fast and efficient modern harvester to the Armstrong model of yore. But here's one kind of harvester, at least, that doesn't stall in the heaviest hemp. In Kentucky, hand cutting is practiced in opening fields for the machines. In Kentucky, hemp is shucked as soon as safe after cutting, to be spread out for retting later in the fall. Wisconsin, hemp is harvested in September. Here, the hemp harvester with automatic spreader is standard equipment. Note how smoothly the rotating apron lays the swath preparatory to retting. Here it is a common and essential practice to leave headlands around hemp fields. These strips may be planted to other crops, preferably small grain. Thus, the harvester has room to make its first round without preparatory hand cutting. Here, the machine is running over corn stubble. When the cutter bar is much shorter than the hemp is tall, overlapping occurs. Not so good for retting. The standard cut is 8 to 9 feet. The length of time hemp is left on the ground to ret depends on the weather. The swaths must be turned to get a uniform ret. When the woody core breaks away readily, like this, the hemp is about ready to take up and bind into bundles. Well-retted hemp is light to dark gray. The fiber tends to pull away from the stalk. The presence of stalks in the bowstring stage indicates that retting is well underway. When hemp is short or tangled, or when the ground is too wet for machines, it is bound by hand. A wooden buck is used. Twine will do for tying, but the hemp itself makes a good band. When conditions are favorable, the pickup binder is commonly used. The swaths should lie smooth and even with stalks parallel. The picker won't work well in tangled hemp. After binding, hemp is shucked as soon as possible to stop further retting. In 1942, 14,000 acres of fiber hemp were harvested in the United States. The goal for 1943 is 300,000 acres. Thus, hemp, Cannabis sativa, the old standby cordage fiber, is staging a strong comeback. This is Kentucky hemp going into the dryer of a mill at Versailles. In the old days, breaking was done by hand, one of the hardest jobs known to man. Now the power breaker makes quick work of it. Spinning American hemp into rope, yarn, or twine in the old Kentucky River Mill at Frankfort, Kentucky. Another pioneer plant that has been making cordage for more than a century. Such plants will presently be turning out products spun from American-grown hemp. Twine of various kinds for tying, winding armatures, and upholsterers' work. Rope for marine rigging and towing, for hay forks, derricks, and heavy-duty tackle. Light-duty fire hose. Thread for shoes for millions of American soldiers. And parachute webbing for our paratroopers. As for the United States Navy, every battleship requires 34,000 feet of rope, and other craft accordingly. So here in the Boston Navy Yard, where cables for frigates were made long ago, crews are now working night and day making cordage for the fleet. In the old days, rope yarn was spun by hand. Today, even the rope walk is mechanized. 160 fathoms to go. The rope yarn feeds through holes in an iron plate. This is Manila hemp from the Navy's rapidly dwindling reserve. When that is gone, American hemp will go on duty again. Hemp for mooring ships. Hemp for tow lines. Hemp for tackle and gear. Hemp for countless naval uses, both on ship and shore. Just as in the days when old Ironside sailed the seas victorious, with her hempen shrouds and hempen sails. Hemp for victory.
So not only did our U.S. Department of Agriculture encourage farmers to grow industrial hemp for the war effort, but they were teaching farmers how to grow it. And they encouraged children in their 4-H clubs to grow hemp for the war effort. So what happened? Prohibition was reinstated right after World War II, and the last commercial crop of industrial hemp was cultivated in 1957 in Wisconsin. Then in 1970, President Nixon signed into law the Controlled Substances Act, which classified marijuana, which was defined as all cannabis sativa, whether growing or not, as a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning a drug that has no potential for medical use and a high potential for abuse. Since industrial hemp has not been grown commercially in the United States on a large scale. In 1998, Canada re-legalized industrial hemp after several years of industrial hemp research. And in 1999, North Dakota saw what was happening up in Canada and saw the market potential available, and North Dakota was the first state to re-legalize industrial hemp in 1999. By 2009, 10 states had followed, including Oregon. In 2014, the U.S. Department of Agriculture was working in collaboration with Congress, and Congress passed the Agricultural Act of 2014, which contains Section 7606, which authorizes industrial hemp research by state departments of agriculture and institutions of higher education in states that have legalized industrial hemp. Since February of 2014, when the Farm Bill has passed, 16 states have legalized industrial hemp. That's now 2 years, but the last state that legalized is back in October, so in just a year and a half, 16 more states have legalized industrial hemp. Today, there are 27 states that have defined industrial hemp distinct from marijuana, and 26 of those states have legalized production. In 2013, Colorado was the first state to recultivate industrial hemp. And in 2014, Colorado, Kentucky, and Vermont all cultivated industrial hemp. And in 2015, 8 states, including Oregon, cultivated industrial hemp. And I'm very grateful that several of those farmers that cultivated hemp in Oregon this past year are here today with us. They are pioneers in this industry, and we should all be grateful for their courageous efforts. Congress has been continually taking action. In the Consolidated Appropriations Bill of 2015, they provided protection to any state that has cultivated industrial hemp and any farmer that has cultivated industrial hemp in compliance with the Farm Bill, removing all funding from the DEA and DOJ for pursuing any farmers that are cultivating. A similar provision was included this past year in the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2016. It contains Section 763, which takes all federal funding away from any federal agency that's used to prohibit the transportation, processing, and sale or use of industrial hemp. That means any farmer that is cultivating in compliance with the Farm Bill is free to engage in interstate commerce in industrial hemp without the fear of federal prosecution. This is a huge, huge step for the industry. We are all very excited about that. Just this past week, the Oregon Department of Agriculture began reissuing licenses for this upcoming production season, which is very exciting. I know there's a lot of new farmers ready to get on board to cultivate. And just this morning, the Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association and we have a bill going through the legislature, House Bill 4060. We have a lot of bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate, and this morning it was voted out of the House committee and going to the House floor, and we are very excited about that. So why don't we hear a little bit more from the Oregon industrial hemp farmers? I have 4 of them that are going to come up and speak with you today. Greg, Jerry, Seth, Cliff, you want to come up here?
My name is Jerry Norton, and I'm a Oregon resident my whole life here in Salem, Oregon for 57 years. The first thing I want to address is I wouldn't really be sitting in this room right now if it wasn't for the hemp goddess herself. I think we all know who that is. She's taken this bill and single-handedly, she's a one-girl wrecking crew, okay? So we owe her a huge applause right now for what she's done. Without a doubt, I was present this morning at the State House, and I seen something happen. I spent quite a bit of time in the State House over this last year or so, and I seen something happen that evidently has never happened there before in about the last 10 years. So she's really went beyond the call of duty for us and brought some really important issues into the light. And I can really foresee her as taking this on a national level and being a big mover in the scene on a national level for the hemp industry for the years to come. So it's really big for us. What I just wanted to touch on shortly here was what I had basically this last year. I was blessed to have a spiritual brother in my life that was able to make seed available to us. Seed's a big problem in Oregon, and I was gifted from some higher powers to be able to get seed, and that was a miracle in itself. And now I want to be able to share that miracle, and I'm currently working with a program, some gentlemen in Colorado right now, and we're working on a JV program, and they have approximately 10,000 pounds of seed that they're working on making available for Oregon. So it's all about sharing the love and making the seed available for everybody, just not the farmers that are just starting out, but we got to start somewhere, whether it be 2 acres like I did 2.5 acres like I did last year, was able to do last year with our team. To, you know, we want thousands of acres here in Oregon, and we can do it, but we got to share the love to make that happen. So it's all about helping each other, and it all starts with the seeds. So now we're on a mission to create a seed bank in Oregon that will be eventually certified, and the prices on seed are going to be expensive, but for the returns on the seed, it's phenomenal. Just off the top of my head, for round figures, we planted last year on an acre. We got approximately 1,000 pounds of biomass product. Out of that 1,000 pounds of biomass product, we took about approximately 200 pounds of flour. Out of that 200 pounds of flour, we took approximately a 10% yield. And we ended up with a 40% CBD product to a 0.3% THC. So it's beautiful medicine. We have all of our stocks. We're able to do some amazing things with our stocks. We're stockpiling for hempcrete, of course. But there's so many things that we can do with the product that we're excited on the future of hemp in Oregon. So last year was just basically our first year out. It was our kicker. It was R&D, and we were blessed to be able to get as far as we got. And so I'll just turn it over from there, but I want to make farmers aware that I have a business card back on the desk back here, and if any farmers are interested in trying to attain seed and try to get a kickstart, I hope we can help you. There's no guarantees. There was no guarantees last year, but you got to believe it to do it. So we believe we can do it, so we're going to do it.
Hello, my name is Greg Clinton. I'm co-owner of High Mountain Organics, which is a medical cannabis company. We're looking to venture into the hemp side of the industry.
Louder.
We're looking to venture into growing industrial hemp this year. It's our first year. We're hopefully going to take advantage of other people's blessings and get seed of our own and start our own venture and work with other farmers as well to initiate the hemp growing process for them and get larger scale and industrial farmers with the practice and the knowledge involved to help the industry progress and get, like Jerry said, thousands of acres growing next in the recent years or the close future years. So with a little bit of luck and a little bit of previous knowledge, we'll be able to all work together and benefit a thriving industry and help the state of Oregon thrive agriculturally again.
My name is Cliff Thomason. So a year ago, I had no idea about hemp, and an opportunity presented itself last March, and I jumped all in, and we were. I was approached with two problems. I need land and I need seed, and I said, well, I can get those, and which I had no idea how. We started off with things like bird seed and other things, but we ended up getting plenty of seed, grew a crop, and we're looking forward to this next year. But I want to touch base on one thing. Part of this is the Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association. ODA had made a move this last fall where they were stopping licensing, stopping additional grows with current licenses, and it was really frustrating. I called out to Jerry and said, let's get this association going, and Courtney put it together, and because as a group, you speak louder to the state than you do as an individual, and as much as Jerry would talk to him, or I would talk to him, or Courtney would, as a group, it means a whole lot more. Last year, we were fortunate to have been able to meet Courtney, and there was a House bill that was looking to put a moratorium on growing of hemp in 3 counties in Southern Oregon, one of which I live in. And last year, the only upset bill in the session was House Bill 2668, which got defeated on the last day, thanks to Courtney. And this year, she's not the bill killer, she's the bill builder. So again, I want to say thank you to Courtney. She's the best in the hemp business, so thank you again.
Hi, I'm Seth Crawford. Same thing, hemp farmer. Wanted to thank everybody for being out here and reiterate what the 3 other folks up here have said about what it takes in terms of building a coalition. And I think that's hopefully where we're headed moving forward. Oregon has an incredible potential. This is, as I think everybody in here probably is aware of, it's a fairly incredible plant, incredibly plastic. You can plant it 300 plants per square meter, and you can plant it 1 plant per square meter, and the morphology of the plant changes, chemical composition changes. It's incredibly malleable, and there's a number of things that creative individuals, creative agronomists can do with this plant, and truly limitless in its opportunity, only inhibited by your imagination. So I would encourage everybody who can to participate this upcoming year. And I think everybody who's involved in this is going to do the best that they can to make sure that seeds are available. This last season I grew 3.3 acres, I believe, in the Willamette Valley, and we grew from clone. We had identified a very specific cultivar, a unique individual within that cultivar line that managed to meet all the expectations of 0.3% THC concentration limit. It's a possibility. There's a number of different ways of viably doing this. What I will say is that it's a lot of work and it's a lot of trial and error, and there's a huge learning curve. And rabbits. I should say that differently. I planted 3.3 acres. We harvested closer to 2.5 after another animal apocalypse struck our field. We had some rabbits eat a bunch of smaller plants. Animals are definitely concerned, so I'm looking into training my stepson as a hawk enthusiast this next year so that he can keep the rabbits at bay. The deer I don't know about, or the elk, that's a different story. Cliff can handle that, I think.
So I'm going to start a little Q&A and give you guys a few questions, and then if anyone else has questions, you can come up. I'm not sure if that mic is working or not, but we'll make sure you guys get your questions answered. So why did you guys decide that you wanted to cultivate hemp? Down the line.
I love to grow, and it was an opportunity to do what I love to do at an industrial scale. In my day job, when I'm not farming, is I'm a cannabis policy researcher at Oregon State University, and have been following the laws and helping to shape the new legalized marketplace for recreational and seeing the transitions that are happening with medical. There were just a lot of new rules that didn't really fit the underlying culture that has been responsible for maintaining cannabis during a long prohibition. And industrial hemp offered an opportunity to do it in a different way and to do it at scale. There's only so much change that you can evoke with 60 plants or 100 plants. But when you're talking about fields and fields and thousands of plants at a time, the magnitude of your impact is much more substantial. That was my draw.
My draw was an opportunity to create jobs and develop an economy. I come from Southern Oregon, where we've been, probably hardest hit throughout the state. We have over 10,000 acres in our county sitting fallow, and learning about the plant, that it's the only plant on earth that can clothe you, house you, feed you, and heal you. We saw it as a great opportunity to bring back an industry, not only just from farming, but manufacturing, processing, and the people that I surrounded myself with, we're all on the same page. This wasn't just about us, this was about Oregon and growing an economy. And so, we put out a mission of growing 10,000 acres in the next 5 years, and we think it's achievable. I think, Jerry, we're on a race to see who gets to that 10,000 first, but we're all going to get there together, and it's a great opportunity. Once we free the seed, it'll be even a greater opportunity for everyone.
I guess my lure in the hemp industry was the significance that it provides for Oregon's agricultural environment. It has a lot of potential to bring small farmers back into an industry they've kind of fallen out of. I have 26 acres in Scio, and there's not very many options for that size of ground. You can't compete with large grass seed farmers, you can't compete with dairy farmers for growing corn, things of that nature. Everything for large scale farmers has got to be organic and higher value to the plant that you're producing versus large scale farms that mass produce GMO agriculture products. The small scale farmers, it just gives them a lot better chance and foothold in an agriculture industry that they've been kind of falling out of. So as a small property owner, it kind of gives us an opportunity to stay at home and work at our ground instead of drive miles upon miles to go to work every day. So my main intent is to be able to stay home with my family and provide a sustainable income on a small scale.
I am a medical marijuana consumer, and I'm a medical marijuana patient. And so it really intrigued me when I started hearing about all this hemp thing. And I happened also to be a capitalist, and it made sense. So it kind of fit together, and then I met this gentleman that changed his middle name to Hemp Seed, and then my whole world changed. And so that's the story.
What advice do you have to farmers that are potentially interested in cultivating hemp? Loaded question.
Yeah, it depends on where you're, it really depends on what side of the operation you're on. If you're doing it on your own, start running, start working out. I mean, it's traditional farming. It's a ton of work. Plan ahead. In terms, this is what we're dealing with here is so even for people who've spent decades growing, say in the medical marijuana industry or doing it illicitly, making the transition to the industrial scale is incredibly challenging. We'll just put it that way. The scope of what you have to do and in terms of logistics of being able to do this in a successful way and pull it off it's really hard. Don't take it lightly, and don't wait until the end of the season to figure out how you're gonna take care of things. That's about it.
Yeah, I think the key is networking. You know, and we do, a lot of us who grew it last year owes a great debt to Eric Hempseed Lloyds, who's in the background there. Because, you know, he's a master networker and was able to secure a lot of different varieties of seeds for people. And that's a key. That's why the Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association, you know, is also put together, so it's a way to network and find. Because if you're growing for flower, there's other people you can network and connect with. If you're growing for fiber, there's others, and for seed. It depends on what you're growing it for. And having a coalition of people that you can bounce things off of who've either done it before or are planning on it is key. And what Seth says is true. You know, you got to look at your end game. You know, if you're going to grow for seed and fiber, you know, do you have access to a combine? Do you have, you know, storage? You know, do you have a way to clean the seed? So there's a lot to the end part, rather than just transitioning from growing med or rec and going into hemp for flowers is probably in your wheelhouse if that's what you did before. But if it's not, then you need to, you know, to really reach out. The other thing is I encourage everyone besides the association to join your farm bureaus, you know, Northwest Farm Bureau and Oregon Farm Bureau. I encourage everyone to join both of them, because there's great resources of information by being part of those associations. And you only strengthen your position in the farm community, you know, by being part of those great establishments.
And in conjunction with those two, for me, I would say the key to success is hard work. If you want to get into agriculture, if you want to get into farming, brace yourself for working 7 days a week. Brace yourself for going out in the middle of the night, checking on your crops, maintaining your crops, and wish you all luck.
Basically, my best advice would be to pray a lot, and also to stay connected to the association, because we do a weekly meeting and we give best practice advice to each other, and it's all about helping each other. So we're totally involved on our weekly meetings to where we can network with each other, find out better practices between each other, and push it to the next level. All eyes are on Oregon right now, obviously, with the hemp and the hemp laws and the things that are happening here. So we're really trying to work together as a team for that. So again, just stay connected to your association, our local association. That's where the power is. So there'll be powers in numbers. So united we stand, divided we'll fall.
I'm going to open it up to just a few questions. Does anybody have questions?
Can anybody grow hemp like in a backyard, or do you have to have a certain size to start with, like a whole acre?
Well, when we pass House Bill 4060, if you get a registration, you'll be able to cultivate hemp in your backyard. Currently, it's a 2.5 acre requirement, a minimum acre requirement.
What type of soil? I mean, can you just go out here and plant it where ryegrass is at and it's going to grow, or? It needs to be wheat ground.
No.
Or what?
Well, really well drained. Well,
You guys can
really,
go into it.
yeah, really
Tile
well
ground.
drained loam is the best. As the video was accurate, even from the 1930s and 40s. Any ground that can really do well with corn will do very well with industrial hemp or cannabis in general. It's cannabis, period. And when you're looking at fertilizer requirements, you basically want to look at high-end nitrogen inputs at the same level as corn. It's a linear relationship between
So you can use
nitrogen
commercial
inputs.
fertilizer. What do you want?
You can. One of the recommendations I would say is that most of the people who are consuming hemp products are very conscientious about the types of inputs that are being used in the farming practices. You'd really be best using more organic methods if possible. Yeah. But very similar. It's the more nitrogen you give it, the more leafy material you have, the bigger the plants you have.
Now, if you're growing it for seed, how do you clean it? You need a cleaner? Combine, because you said combine earlier.
Yeah, combine and a seed cleaner. You know, there are from grass seed producers on down. There's usually some regional and they're mobile, so you know you can bring them on source because you want to be able to you know use them for the following year, or if you're going to press them for seed oil, you want as clean a material as possible.
I was just going to comment that we did not use any pesticides whatsoever. So as the film showed, it just chokes out all your invasive weeds.
Plant high density.
Yes, yes, we did a sea of green and just choked everything out underneath, and it wasn't rocket science at all.
That was the opposite.
Very simple.
And so we have great pictures. You can look at Jerry's fields, and it is high density. I did basically the opposite. I went 10-foot center, so I had quite a bit of space between my plants, but the same approach. No sprays at all, period, 100% organic methods, and a very similar outcome. Something that you have to worry about here in Oregon is botrytis and powdery mildew at the end of the season especially. There are organic ways of dealing with that, but a much more effective way is breeding specifically for powdery mildew resistant varieties. And we're getting to the point where that's a possibility. We have some connections with folks who are sequencing the genome of powdery mildew varieties that attack cannabis, and it has a lot of similarities to just about every other powdery mildew variety around, which should give you an idea about just how voracious that particular pathogen is. So it's in part it's good seed selection and good genetics, good material to start with, and then after that, just good cultural techniques.
All right, we have time just for one last question. You had your hand up first.
Yeah, being that hemp pulls in all the impurities from the local ecology, how do y'all test and deal with the fact that likely everything within the first succession of crops is likely contaminated from ground sources? Have you tested for it? How do you assure that these contaminants don't end up in the final products, other than just like hemp testing?
Well, we didn't have to do any testing. We didn't have testing.
The question was if hemp has phytoremediation properties, the ability to pull up toxin out of the soil. So he's wondering how do you handle if your hemp has actually drawn up toxins such as heavy metals or other.
Oh, we shipped those to California.
They said on quite a bit of that already.
We can have some more questions at the end. There's just a special guest here that has a time issue. So if you guys want to come back up maybe at the end for more questions.
I can answer that question real quick. Like a lot of people do biochar, like burning their stalks in the ground, getting some kind of products that way. There's paper industry that wouldn't matter where the handling material that could have been had that it's not. If you don't consume it, there's a lot of products that you can use for the oil, for biodiesel or plastics, or you can make a market until your soil gets remediated to become organic, and you get test results of your soil. And anything we sell on the market, we're lobbying to have tested so that we know what's in it for pesticides. And there's heavy metal testing we can have done. Yeah, we can.
Well, thank you, Farmers Panel. And there'll be time at the end of the event if you guys want to stick around and speak with the farmers about specific questions you're having. But at this time, I would like to bring up Representative Carl Wilson. He has been a champion for hemp this past year. I personally am so grateful for his support for industrial hemp, the association that we've created, and the fact that he is the chief sponsor for House Bill 4060.
Well, Courtney, thank you, and couldn't have done it without you. This is an amazing time to be alive. So many things changing. And you know, not very many opportunities do we have in life to be part of something that is like this. Of course, it's been around for years. It's hemp, and we got a chance to help it be reborn. And you know, it was good to see my Josephine County boys up here a minute ago. There are some great reasons why we're doing this, and the fact that the county may live again is one of the great ones. And I think that hemp is going to get us there. I'm really excited about the opportunity. So good luck to you all. We've still got some work to do. Now, you watched enough football games to see the guy who recovers the fumble, who runs back to the goal line, and just before he gets to the goal line, drops the ball. We can't afford to do that because we are not even halfway there yet. We think we're going to have success, but this is going to cross the House floor, and I think successfully, in just a few days. But then it goes over to the Senate, and we got to be really careful about that. Follow them closely. Make sure you let the people know on the committee that's assigned to, and I don't know what committee yet it will be assigned to, but make sure that you paper those people with some good, gentle, courteous emails saying, hey, please hear this bill, because we need all the leverage that we can possibly get. So again, I want to thank you. We're not there yet. Let's bear down, but we're going to get there. I really believe so, because this bill is a bipartisan bill sponsored by some of the Democratic leadership. I'm on the Republican side, and so I think we can get it done with that kind of sponsorship. So thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for the encouragement. We've got a ways to go, but I do believe that we're going to see this home. And as they say, smells like prosperity. And that's what we want.
Before he takes off, the Oregon Industrial Hemp Farmers Association got him a little gift.
You know, in my workplace, when we get a mysterious package, I have one employee, I always say, hey, go open that up at the market. What's that shirt made out of? That made out of hemp?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you again, Carl. Now we will be bringing up Kent Wright from the Northwest Farmers Union, the other co-sponsor for this event tonight.
Thank you very much. So I won't take up too much more time because I know we want to get more questions out there from these farmers. So I just want everybody to know we've got pamphlets at the back. Okay, so we are Northwest Farmers Union, Washington, Idaho, Oregon. We support industrial hemp, and we can lobby on a national level. We have the National Farmers Union. We can pay to fly people out, both here to legislate locally. We want to build cooperatives, do education. That's why we're supporting this, because we want more educators, folks to teach people how to grow industrial hemp. And we have a lot of very traditional farmers who want to know, is it viable? Is it something that we can do? And you know, we don't have the answers. I'm a cattleman, right? I got a bunch of woohoos as I'm walking across campus and all that. I don't know anything about industrial hemp, but I just enjoy the time everybody's been giving me to come out here and do it, and we just want more education. We want to be involved. So we're on the industrial hemp change. So let's go.
And next up, we have Jenny Dresler from the Oregon Farm Bureau.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Jenny Dresler and I represent Oregon Farm Bureau. We are the state's largest general ag association. We represent about 60,000 members across the state and every different commodity. So we've got over 250 different commodities, industrial hemp and cannabis. Now our medical and recreational marijuana are recognized as crops in Oregon. So it's been a really exciting time to get to be a part of industrial hemp as the license rolled out this past year. I met Courtney and Cliff and Jerry and several other members of the Industrial Hemp Farmers Association last year when we started running into some of those coexistence issues as to whether or not hemp could coexist with marijuana. Farm Bureau is very practiced at those issues, and we have, just because we are so diverse in Oregon, we have a lot of family fights between different crops who don't think that they can get along. So we stepped in this case and really tried to help negotiate a compromise that didn't put anybody out of business. They kept both hemp and cannabis, recreational and medical, on the same playing field. And I think Courtney was doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and at the end of the day, you're looking at a bill this year that is really giving you that flexibility that you need as growers. That's something that Farm Bureau is really excited to be a partner in and to be helping out with Courtney's group in the Industrial Hemp Farmers Association. So I appreciate the plug from Cliff and the ability to come here and just to kind of let you guys know what we're all about. We represent every commodity, every production method, and every production type. So from organic to conventional to biotech, we have a very, very broad membership, and we really do try to protect the whole ag community. So I guess I'll be in the back if you guys have any questions. If you guys are interested in some of our policy positions, you can go to www.oregonfb, so farmbureau.org, and you can look at our policy book, our membership page, kind of the issues that we're advocating for right now. The highlight for us right now is labor, as that's one of the biggest issues in the Capitol, but happy to play a supporting role with Representative Wilson and the efforts that you all have here to try to get your bill passed. So we're there to support it and to support our farmers in our counties who are wanting to see this pass. So I thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Thank you Northwest Farmers Union for co-sponsoring the event with us. Thank you Oregon Farm Bureau for coming to support us as well. American Hemp Seed Genetics, another co-sponsor. Oregon Hemp Co., another sponsor of the event. Oregon Hemp Industries Association. And I'm going to leave the rest up to you guys. If you all would prefer the farmer panel to come up to answer more questions, we can do that. Otherwise, we can leave it informal and just let you mingle and ask questions and enjoy the rest of the snacks that are left. Okay, we're going informal. Have a hempful evening, everyone.